Imagine a man who owns over $80 billion, yet has never spent a single cent. Imagine a leader who built a global empire only to vanish forever the moment he achieved success. In 2008, while the world's financial systems were screaming in agony, a ghost named Satoshi Nakamoto performed a digital miracle. He solved a mathematical paradox that had defeated the world's greatest geniuses for 30 years. He didn't just invent a currency, he invented a new language for trust. He created a way to bypass every bank, every regulator, and every government on Earth. But who was he? A lone wolf programmer? A collective of state-sponsored hackers? Or an alien intelligence dropping a gift into our primitive laps? To understand the magnitude of what he did, and the chilling reason why he had to disappear, we must first look at the 20 years of failure, heartbreak, and forgotten dreams that paved the way for his arrival. This isn't just a story about money. It is a story about the war for the human soul in the digital age. The greatest mystery of the 21st century doesn't involve a crime, a war, or a missing treasure. It involves a phantom. In the digital age, we are told that privacy is dead. We are tracked by satellites, monitored by banks, and cataloged by governments. But in the heart of this total surveillance, one individual managed to remain completely invisible while resetting the clock of human history. To understand Satoshi, we must look at the cypherpunks of the 1990s. These were the architects of the digital underground. They were mathematicians and rebels who lived by a simple, brutal creed. Privacy is necessary for an open society in the electronic age. They knew that if money was not private, then freedom was nothing but a fragile illusion. Think of David Chaum, the godfather of digital privacy. In 1983, he invented eCash. It was a masterpiece of mathematics, but it had a fatal flaw. It was a company. When his company DigiCash went bankrupt in 1998, the money simply vanished. It was a brutal lesson for the world. If your money depends on a CEO, it is not truly yours. Then came Adam Back. He created Hashcash. His idea was revolutionary. What if digital actions had a physical cost? What if your computer had to perform work, solve a complex mathematical puzzle to prove it wasn't a spammer? This proof of work would later become the very heartbeat, the rhythmic pulse of the Bitcoin network. And then, Wei Dai proposed B-Money. He was the first to realize we didn't need a central bank. We just needed everyone to keep their own copy of the ledger. But Dai hit a brick wall. He couldn't figure out how to keep those thousands of ledgers in sync if someone tried to lie. For 2 decades, these giants struggled. They had the privacy, they had the work, and they had the shared ledger. But they all hit the same wall, the double spending problem. The world was waiting for a weaver, someone who could take these broken, failed threads and braid them into a single, unbreakable rope. October 2008. The financial world was in a state of suicidal collapse. Lehman Brothers had vanished overnight. The experts were on television trembling, begging for taxpayer trillions to save a rotting system. This was the environment in which Satoshi Nakamoto chose to reveal himself. On October 31st, an email arrived on a quiet, obscure mailing list. Satoshi didn't bring a manifesto. He brought engineering. He had solved the ghost that had haunted the internet for 30 years. The double spending problem. Let's be precise about what this means. In the physical world, if you give a $10 bill to a merchant, you no longer have it. The laws of physics prevent you from spending it again. But in the digital world, everything is just a file. Just like an email or a photo, you can copy-paste a digital dollar. You could send it to one person and keep a copy for yourself to spend again. If money can be duplicated, it has zero value. Satoshi's genius was replacing the bank with an immutable algorithm. First, he introduced the blockchain, a chain of time. He solved the problem of who spent what first by grouping transactions into blocks and chaining them with a digital fingerprint. If you try to change a single transaction in the past, the entire chain shatters. For the first time in history, humanity created a record that was truly, physically permanent. Second, he used proof of work. He required miners to spend real-world electricity to solve these puzzles. This tied the digital ledger to the raw laws of physics. To rewrite history, you would have to outpower the entire world's computing capacity. It's not just difficult. It's economically suicidal. Why spend billions to attack the network when you could make more money by simply securing it? Satoshi didn't ask for permission. He didn't ask for a license. He simply released the code into the wild like a virus of liberty. On January 3, 2009, Satoshi mined the Genesis block. Inside the raw code of that first block, he embedded a newspaper headline from the Times, "Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks." This was Bitcoin's birth certificate. It was a middle finger to the old guard. It wasn't built for a quick profit. It was built as an escape hatch from a failing civilization. In the beginning, the network was silent. It was just a ghost talking to itself. Until Hal Finney downloaded the software. Hal was a legendary coder, a titan of the cypherpunk movement, but he was also a man in a race against time, fighting the early cruel stages of ALS. On January 12th, Satoshi sent 10 bitcoins to Hal. This was the first breath of the system. Hal's physical body was failing him, but the digital code he helped nurture was becoming immortal. Then came the moment where the virtual met the physical. In May 2010, a programmer named Laszlo Hanyecz posted on a forum. He wanted pizza, and he was willing to pay 10,000 bitcoins for it. Someone took the offer. 2 Papa John's pizzas were delivered. At that moment, the gap was bridged. Bitcoin now had a price. As the years passed, the value of those 2 pizzas grew to over $800 million. Laszlo became the man who ate the most expensive meal in human history. But he never regretted it, because he knew that for Bitcoin to become money, someone had to be brave enough to treat it like money. By April 2011, Bitcoin was no longer a hobby, it was a threat. Satoshi understood a fundamental truth about power. Any system with a head can be decapitated. If there was a leader to arrest, or a CEO to subpoena, or a founder to corrupt, Bitcoin would be destroyed by the very forces it sought to bypass. To make the protocol immortal, Satoshi Nakamoto had to become a phantom once again. He sent his final email, "I've moved on to other things." And then, total silence. It was only after Satoshi vanished, as Bitcoin's value began its vertical historic climb, that the world began to realize the true scale of his sacrifice. Researchers discovered a unique mining footprint in the early code called the Satoshi pattern. The data was staggering. In the early days, Satoshi had mined an estimated 1 million bitcoins. He did it to keep the heartbeat of the network alive when no one else would. But here is the masterpiece of his legacy. Those million coins have never moved. Not a single Satoshi has been spent in over 15 years. By disappearing and leaving his unimaginable wealth untouched, Satoshi performed the ultimate sovereign burn. He proved that Bitcoin has no owner, no king, and no master. He left his fortune sitting like a sleeping volcano on the blockchain, a permanent guarantee that the creator had stepped aside so that the world could take over. Satoshi Nakamoto's departure was his final and greatest gift. He didn't leave a management committee. He left a set of rules without rulers. We may never know his name. We may never see his face. But in a world of broken promises and devalued currencies, Satoshi proved that mathematics is the only truth that cannot be subverted. The mystery isn't who he was. The mystery is what we will do with the fire he left behind. Bitcoin is here, and Satoshi is everyone.